What do you guys want to talk about? What are you excited about? Back in Finland, Helsinki. What's on your minds? The motherfuckers are too shy to ask a question. They came to a fucking Q&A, they're too fucking shy to ask a question. You see the shit I talk about? There it is.
Finding a path in life, how to get there.
Finding a what?
Finding a path, like path to walk on.
What about it? What do you want?
Like, for example, like I've heard, like Indian Americans, they go to like this one place in nature for 3 days, and then they finally realize what they want to do in life. Like, what is your take on it? But how do you really find a path?
You want to go shit in the woods for 3 days by yourself? You should go naked and see the northern lights.
With the wolves and bears.
With the wolves and bears.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Too cold for a reindeer. The reindeer migrating south. A fennec fox or some shit.
Yeah.
You should, if you have to shit in the snow, you should wipe your ass with a fennec fox.
That's good advice.
What the fuck? No, I mean, I think, I'm not a fucking hippie. And when I hear this shit of, I don't know, take fucking drugs and hang out in the woods, or, I mean, I don't know, I see how that would happen, like as a Spartan tradition, perhaps, where, a Spartan throws his 7-year-old child or 10-year-old child, I forget the specifics of the stories, but the Spartan sends the 10-year-old boy, out in the wilderness to kill something and bring back meat, or just starve and die. And that's a lot fucking more noble than what most people are doing on Earth today. But when I hear this hippie type shit of, take some fucking hallucinogens and hang out in the forest, or, this Vipassana, is like, we'll spend fucking 10 days, I'm not even saying, I'm not anti-meditation, and meditation might be useful for somebody, maybe it's number 80 on my to-do list of, if I lived long enough, I'd probably take up meditation myself, But just go fucking do something and you'd feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Just go fucking do something and you'll find some purpose, And if you don't know who you are and what you want, how the fuck would you ever get it? And you don't need to go spend a week in the wilderness and wipe your ass with a fox to understand that. Go spend 2 days in a bathroom. Not in the sauna, don't lock yourself in the sauna. You guys, everyone has a sauna in their home here, I understand. Don't lock yourself in the sauna for 2 days. But, I say a bathroom, what is the point? Is the bathroom a special place? No, the point is, don't get distracted, no telephone, no computer, no contact with other humans. Go find a place where you could spend 2 days like that. No telephone, no computer, no contact with other humans. And the more you could just have food and water in a fucking toilet, in a shower, in a notepad and 2 or 3 pens, you'd just be in great shape. And nobody will do that. I don't know, very few people do that. They'd rather that sounds extreme. I'll just figure it out by myself. I'll just spend 10 minutes thinking about it in my car. And that's why these guys are fucking turds. That's why they don't accomplish anything. So they don't even care enough about themselves. They don't have enough self-respect and care enough about themselves to take 2 days out of life to go actually set some plans or goals or get to know yourself. And you don't need to do some fucking hippie shit or some psychedelic drug or something to do that. Just take 2 days to go get to know yourself. You'd be really shocked what you figure out. You'd be really quite shocked of what kind of man am I? What kind of life would I like to live? And given the answers to those two, who would be the best companions? That's your lovers, that's your friends, that's a business partner, colleagues, allies of whatever kind. Who'd be the best people, the best companions to spend that life with? And you can't screen people out. You're just going to waste your fucking time, and then you're going to die if you don't understand the answers to those 3 things. You're going to waste your life, and you're going to die. But most people won't do it. I don't like those people. I don't like to talk to them. I don't want them around me. I don't want them as clients. I don't want them to pay to spend time with me. I don't even want them to be my client. Like a person that doesn't love himself enough to think seriously about that. A person that doesn't love himself enough to invest in himself, I don't want to spend time with that person either. I think they're disgusting humans. But that would clarify everything for you. That's just a structure. I don't tell anybody you should live your life like I'd have. Just live whatever life you'd be happy with. Find your happiness. Pursue your happiness. Pursue your own guide. Whatever the fuck would make you happy. Whatever. These are not noble questions. Don't mistake that as like a noble, nice guy question. What kind of man? I mean, what kind of mammal are you? What sort of bestial animal are you? Not in a grandiose way, but under what circumstances would you be willing to die for this thing or that thing? What sort of creature are you? And given your human nature, what are the things that would bring you the most happiness? And you have to think about that as sort of a long-term rational hedonism of over a long time horizon. What's the shit that would give me the most happiness points, or utils in economics terms? They would call it utils. To talk to normal people that don't study that shit, you just call that happiness points. What would get you the most happiness points over the course of your life? Just go do that. If it doesn't include some fucking coworker or whatever else, some turd that's slithering around in your life that was your friend in 6th grade but hasn't really done anything for the last decade, fuck that guy. If it doesn't include him, don't spend any time with these people, including your family, including who you think your friends are. You're just wasting your lives. You guys are just wasting your lives doing that shit. Oh, Derek, that's mean. Fuck you. Derek's so mean. What type of business partner would you men like to have? What are some attributes you would like in a teammate or a business partner?
Integrity. Honest.
Just give me a few more.
Confidence.
Loyalty, hardworking.
Smart.
So if you want a high quality business partner, if you want high quality teammates, whatever you're doing, business or career or whatever you're doing, if you want high quality women, just be that type of man. Just what you guys just said. Smart, hardworking, aggressive, ability, talented. Just be that type of man. And you would naturally attract those type of people. It would be alienating. Good communication is not getting along with everybody. Good communication is alienating the people that are not in answer number 3 over there. Good communication is not to get along with people. You should be communicating in a way that would delight the type of people that you would like to meet, and at the same time be offensive or alienating to the people that you would not like to spend time with. I prefer they never speak to me. I prefer that I've sufficiently offended them. If I've offended someone here, fuck you, and feel free to leave any moment. It's not who I came here to talk to. I came here to talk to the few men. They're serious, they're motivated, they're already good at something. They're serious of having a better outcome in other areas of their life. Those are the only men that I like to speak to. Those are the only women that I like to speak to. And if it's not that type of person, I just don't care at all. And it's, the screening is not something you're doing. Screening is just answering those 3 questions deeply and then communicating that to the world of, I know who I am, I know what I want. These are the type of people that they would be greatly benefit from spending time with someone like me. If it's not one of those type of people, have a good night. Enjoy your life. I wish you the best. I know who I am. I know what I want. The right type of people should come be a part of that. The other people should go do something else. It's not for them. It's not for me. It's not a good fit. Let me clarify that. What I mean by this is that if you went out in the world and you met some people, man or woman, if you went out in the world and talked to people, the normative effect is that you don't care for these people, that you don't, they're not going to be your new best friend. It's not going to be your business partner. It's just a person. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't mean you wish for their death or something. We're not talking about a mental illness or a personality disorder. I'm just saying, like, the normal thing is if you went out in the world, just think to yourself, answer this question to yourself: of the last 1,000 people that you've met, just say men. Say men for now. For the last 1,000 men that you've spoken to, how many are your very close friend? It's like 0 to 2. If somebody said like 10, I don't want to be friends with that guy. I don't want to be friends with somebody who said, oh, 10, 20. If it's not even 1 or 2%. It's like 0, 1, 2. And there's probably 20 more people that if you've seen them again, that'd be just fine. And if you never seen them again, that would be just fine too. Right? So that's perfectly acceptable in a man's mind. When he thinks about that, that's perfectly acceptable or reasonable. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. You guys aren't here because you're a piece of shit. You guys are here. Like, you are the most serious people in your country. Has anybody here come from a different country? You come from Estonia or... Yeah. So put your hands up one more time just so you can look at each other. It's like, look how many people came from a different country to be here today. So Yeah, like this is not a group of losers.
What about, well, we have already been discussing about developing personality. For example, for you, you clearly don't give a shit what other people think about you. And well, that is a mindset. And I'm interested in how to develop that kind of mindset. We already
We talked about it in the first question right here. We talked about it with this man. You know who you are and you know what you want. And I do care what people think about me. I want to make sure that the right people, the type of people that we would have a good relationship together, I want to be clear enough in my personality and clear enough in my communication that it would be natural that we would gravitate. He and I have a little special something.
Yeah, it was like what he was talking about, like his training, and then he kind of like built the mindset while doing it. So how to kind of like tackle this kind of problem? For example, for me, I'm thinking like what other people are thinking about me.
It's irrelevant.
It's like a process and how to, well.
It's just irrelevant, so it's
just like
good communicate. Well, you're just wasting your life, bro. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I know that, but still.
What does it matter what some stranger thinks of you? It just doesn't matter. You've got, how old are you?
33.
33?
Yeah.
33 years, third of a century you've gone without knowing someone. And you go talk to them. If they don't like you, could you go on another 33 years without knowing that one human? Could you spend the next 33 years without that stranger? You spent the last 33 years out with the stranger. You couldn't spend the next 33 years out without that stranger. You couldn't find somebody else. This thing where you're saying, I don't give a fuck what people think of me. Well, if you're just, there's a couple ways to look at that. If you're like if you're a mentally ill tard and you're like, I don't care what the world thinks of me, and then you like shit on the floor and set the curtains on fire, that's just not going to be relatable to anybody. It's just not going to be relatable to, nobody here wants to hang out with somebody like that. So I don't give a fuck. And they, throw the table over and shit on the floor right there. So I don't care what you think. Smell my ass. Well, I don't know. I don't really want to hang out with that guy. Probably you don't either, So he's giving us information to make an easy decision that we're not going to spend too much time around someone like that. So the only point is if I say I don't care what a stranger thinks of me, all I'm saying is that I don't want to spend my time with the wrong person. I want to communicate in a way that the right person would understand who I am, have a good understanding of my goals, of my values, and we would naturally gravitate to one another. You don't have to get along with everybody. You're really causing yourself a lot of extra frustration that's unnecessary. You're thinking deeply about it. You're eager to say something else, so go ahead. What else?
Well, yeah, kind of like for you, have you been always like that? Have you always not to give fuck about what other people think, or did you develop that kind of trait in yourself?
No, you'll spend a number of years of your life being frustrated with others. And you should eradicate this. Just get this out of your system. Do it sooner than later. You're 33, you said. 33, yeah? Put it on your schedule. How much more time do you want to waste? How many more years do you want to spend around people that you don't even like?
Oh, none.
Then why are you doing it? That really cuts through it. Is like you're going to die. It's statistically improbable that any of us are going to be the world's first immortal. You're going to die. So how do you want to spend your life between now and then? Just answer that question for yourself. I'm going to die. What would I like to do with the time that I have? And how much of it do I want to waste before I start taking action to do the thing? To do what I know is necessary to have the outcome that I desire? And, the ideal answer would be zero. Now, it probably won't, in reality, you probably won't spend zero time on it. But for fuck's sake, just be a reasonable human and, minimize this wasted time. Just respect your life while you have it. I can't wait.
I was wondering, how do you spot your blind spots? How do you improve effectively?
You have to find teachers. It's called a blind spot because you're too dumb to see it. And we all have it. I have plenty of blind spots. And all of you do too. And anybody here that doesn't think they have a blind spot is a goddamn fool. It's called a blind spot because it's something that by definition you're not going to find out about yourself unless someone tells you. And then some nice guys here, some of the nice guys, they'll never tell you. They'll never tell you. Your best friend in life might never tell you that your breath smells like chewed up assholes. If you got a friend that he's willing to move some lint off your shoulder or give you a breath mint, that's probably a real friend. You better be nice to that person, because some of you think about it yourself. Think of the awkwardness where maybe in a professional setting or even with your close friends, you're like he's got a stain on his jacket, but it'd be awkward for me to mention it, or there's some problem, but it'd be awkward to mention it, so I'll just let it go. And he's going to walk around all day with it, whatever this problem is, and maybe for the rest of his life. And that's what people do. So how do you get around that? It's like, you have to develop two things. You have to go find coaches and mentors. And secondly, you have to go develop a peer group around you that you have that type of open communication, that somebody could point out to you, like, with your best intentions in mind, not some asshole, but somebody that's, perhaps an asshole to the world, but at least when he speaks to you, has your best intentions in mind, and say, hey man, have you ever thought about doing this? Hey, I noticed this attribute or this behavioral pattern about you that, if you considered changing it this way, you might be better off. It's rare to find somebody like that. It's rare to find anybody like that. So go find a subject matter expert first and pay that person to help you, and then to go develop a peer group like that. The guys that don't do that, they don't win. When Michael Jordan, at the prime of his career, at the peak of his career, had 10 coaches. Had 10 coaches helping him. It's like, anybody that's a top performer, they have coaches. I feel stupid. I mentioned Brandon earlier. Brandon Carter is really quite a good friend of mine. And I feel fucking stupid that when I was a teenager, I was interested in bodybuilding and I was lifting weights 3 years pretty seriously. And then I injured myself and I really, really couldn't for like a year. And I never got back into it until I was about your age, 32, 33. And I hired him, and he didn't even want to work with me. He wanted to just work for free, and I don't like free. I want to pay you what an external client would pay you. Any case, I paid him several $1,000s to go to the gym with me 6 times. 6 times. And what I learned in those 6 times going to the gym together, the things that he could point out and tell me, change this little thing. Hold your elbows like that for the tricep pull down, Change, little thing, little thing, little thing. I felt so stupid that I just spent 1.5 years before that, before I got help. I spent 1.5 years fumbling around like a dumbass, because I'm like, I did it 15 years ago. I generally know what to do. And I asked him, like, what do you think that cost me in terms of muscular gains, of spending that 1.5 years or so fucking around by myself? And he's, it would have been a lot. And I said, tell me in numbers. He's like, maybe 10 pounds. Maybe 10. He thinks I got half of the results that I could have had for similar effort or less effort. And I hurt my fucking elbow being a dumbass by myself, which then took time to heal too and reduce my gains. So look, when I wanted to be good at business, I spend over $40,000 a year just on memberships to different groups, to entrepreneurial groups and other social networking groups like that. I spend over $40,000 a year just on that. So I want access to the right people. I want to be around subject matter experts. I've spent over $1 million on between universities, spent 9 years in universities. I went to some of the best. I'm a high school dropout, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know that. So I had a ridiculous, tumultuous childhood. And it's just pain and misery. When you have shitty people around you and you have bad role models, it's just pain and misery. And books and mentors and coaches and teachers, that's the difference between like poverty and misery and stupidity versus doing whatever the fuck you want. And the majority of you went to college anyway. It's like, the reason you're doing as well as you are today is because you had coaches and mentors and teachers that helped you. So that's what it is. So anything new that I want to learn, the path of least resistance is, hire a fucking best coach you can afford from the beginning for anything you want to be good at. If you want people to contribute the most to you, you're probably going to have to make yourself useful and be willing to contribute to others too. And just accept that. There's nothing to be butthurt about. There's nothing to be. It's like, the more I make myself capable of killing shit and bringing back meat, the more resourceful I could be to the tribe, the higher quality tribe we're going to have, because it ups the standards for everybody else that's going to be a part of that tribe. It makes it a benefit that somebody else would be excited to join your tribe, and you have that long-term perspective of like, what can I do today to make the rest of my life better? How could I add value? The richest people in the world are not thieves and scoundrels. The richest people in the world are someone who contributed tremendous consumer surplus to society. You know, when you think of what an iPhone is, you know, I don't know. I don't know what my fucking phone costs. I think $1,200. You know, but if the fucking thing cost $12,000 instead, I still would have bought it. If my option was like, oh, I was going to say BlackBerry, but I might as well say Nokia. So we're here, so we'll say, if my option was an old school Nokia phone versus a fucking, you know, pay $12,000 for the iPhone, I would pay $12,000 for the iPhone. And I'd say, God damn, that's expensive. I could have bought a phone for $40, but it doesn't do the same things, does it? So, you know, why is that such a valuable company? Because they create a tremendous consumer surplus. You know, people like that shit. And so, you know, it's find that way that you could add value to others, that you could, you know, this giving value shit doesn't mean that you're a dumbass altruist that's, you know, bankrupting yourself to take care of the homeless. You know, giving value means, you know, you made yourself a competent and capable and responsible person, and then you answered those questions there, before or after, and then you have a screening mechanism, the answer to that third question, you know, who are the right companions for that life, and, you know, ruthlessly avoid the people that would waste your time. You know, it's uncomfortable for him and for me to tell the guy, like, you know, we're done fucking talking, leave if you don't like it. It makes it uncomfortable for the whole room. You know what makes it more uncomfortable for the whole room? Answering 12 more dumbass questions along the vein of, like, how can I get an outcome I don't deserve? How can I avoid, you know, 2 weeks of psychological frustration to have a lifetime of fucking joy and happiness and abundance? You know, how can I avoid these little petty things, these little barriers of entry that are just simply necessary to have the type of outcomes? And you hear this man's annoyance when he talks about bodybuilding, and when somebody says, you know, what's the one thing? What's the one thing? You know, it's like, no, just do the one thing would be fucking, you know, go to the gym when you don't feel like it. The one thing would be a self-discipline type of thing. The one thing would be like, you know, oh, I have to go, you know, even if I'm not in the mood to do the thing, I still have to go do the thing because that's what I do. That's what you do. So, you know, that's the fucking one thing. So, you know, at age 23, I just started learning about this stuff when I was your age, and, you know, in that time, I'll use a different metric because it's, you know, this is more poignant in my life. Is, you know, when I was 18, I was a high school dropout. I was in county jail. It wasn't good. And, you know, in 10 and a half years after that, I had 2 university degrees. I was on my way to the University of Chicago Business School, which at that time was universally ranked the #1 business school. I had $1 million net worth, you know, at age 29. A few days after my 29th birthday, and I'd love to lie about it and say it was 28, but it's just not true. My ego is a little disturbed by that, or I never even would have made the comment. So I wish it was 28 instead of 29, but it's 29. But, you know, more importantly, I multiplied that in the aftermath, and I multiplied that again. And, you know, by the time I was 33, I knew I never had to work again. By the time I was 33, I knew I did the math on it, and I'm like, oh, it's been a year and change since I hit the break-even point where I could continue my current burn rate, my spending rate, and I would probably run out of years before I ran out of money, you know? And the things that I did in that, you know, 10 or 15 years, you know, my dating life is, it's a weird thing for a man to say, but my dating life is legendary. I've had a fantastic sex life. I have fantastic friends. The money's been great. Education's been great. That took me, you know, 10, 15 years, depending on what we're talking about. And, you know, and I had kind of shitty mentors. Now, you're 23, and you're here, which means you're 23 and you're here, you just had to see it. You like jumped down the steps in like a superhero type move, and it was a dramatic movie scene. You just had to see it. You're 23 and you're here, and you have better mentors and better information, and you have the internet to use too. And like, bro, like you're not supposed to do what I did. If you're a serious guy, you're supposed to do a lot better. I didn't come here to try to help you do what I did in, you know, 10, 15 years. Like, you're supposed to do way better, your own version of it, whatever make you happy. But you probably wouldn't mind, like, you know, great friends, a lot of money. You probably wouldn't mind that, you know. You had a lot of world travel, like, you know, you probably wouldn't be disappointed if you did those things. So, but whatever the answers are to your questions, go get what you want, you know. You know, the guy who has a victim question versus the guy is like, where's the opportunity? Where's the opportunity? You know, you can do whatever you want. You do whatever you want, and it's not. It's not this big step function, like, I go along a little bit and then a big and then a plateau and it's, it's just a little bit every day. Success is, I forget who says this or I give him credit for it, but, success is just a series of positive habits repeated daily for a long period of time. And failure is a series of negative habits repeated daily for a long period of time. So you can do whatever you want. Just choose wisely. Choose something. Be thoughtful of it while you're young. Be thoughtful of it now, so you could really optimize the time's going to go by anyway, but if you just optimized it, you'd have more fun, you'd have better resources, you'd have more of everything you want.
Can you do at the same time you improve your business aspect and the dating life aspect at the same time, or do you just focus at one?
I always like two things. It's going to be different, okay? I know a person that tries to do 10 or 20 things, they're going to do nothing. I would bet everything on that. I would bet everything that I have and everything I could borrow that a man who thinks he's going to be great at 10 things, he's going to be great at exactly 0. All right? I'm not smart enough. I had a very good IQ, and I'm not smart enough to go do 3 things at the same time. And most of you probably aren't either. There might be one person in this room. I doubt it. I doubt it. And I say that humbly. I don't say that in a cocky way. There's probably no one in this room that can go do, I don't know. How many things is Elon Musk good at? He seems like a pretty smart guy and pretty ambitious. And he has, and he constantly fucks up his deadlines, constantly. And, I don't think anybody in here would have their feelings hurt saying that he's probably a smarter man and a more ambitious man than any of us. So, here, what did he do well? He's done a couple things pretty well, but not at the same time. So it tends to be sequentially, So I just don't see people doing, I've never seen it. I don't see people doing 3 things fantastic at the same time. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't learn many things over the course of your lifetime. And for me, I wanted to learn about business and finance things. I wanted good grades in academia. I wanted my business life to be good, and I wanted my dating life to be good. And those kind of the 3 things that I spent a lot of my life focused on. And I could do 2 at a time. Pick 2, and the 3rd one would be vastly neglected. And then you might shuffle that of graduate, or college and girls, college and business, girls and business, college and business again, So, but it would cycle like that. And I would have a primary thing that I put most of my energy and attention. And when you feel like you've really topped out there, that you're having diminishing returns on more energy allocated there, well, then you work on your secondary thing. And then you go to sleep. And then you wake up and work on just those 2 things tomorrow. And then you go to sleep and you just wake up and work on those 2 things tomorrow. My team and I laugh. I don't have to work at all. But my team and I laugh about people that take time off. Take a weekend off, take a day off. I don't need a day off, ever. I never need a day off. I don't feel like what I'm doing is even work. I'm more productive than most everybody, and I don't even feel like it's work. It's like, find something that you can make money with, okay? So if your passion is like swimming with dolphins or some stupid shit, so, I'm very passionate about swimming with the dolphins. Well, that sounds kind of weird, really, but, find something that you can make money with. Find something that's useful to other humans. And if you did that, you don't need a day off. You could outwork everybody. Elon doesn't take time off, he just works. He makes fun of people that don't work 80 hours a week. I think he's right. And I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not a fanboy of his. Some people really think he's fantastic. Smart guy, good guy, that's nice. But this work-life balance thing is a sham. It's like, this is so middle class people can stay in the middle class and feel good about themselves, and then shame you for trying to be aggressive and trying to get something done. If you worked 80 hours a week instead of 40, even if you sucked, even if you couldn't find any synergies, you would still have double the income than a normal peasant would. After you developed a skill set, what are some things you're already talented at for your age? What are some skills or talents you already have?
Skill and talent. Well, I've been working for sales now, and I'm studying right now at university. And also I have some other side thing I do, like sport and gym a lot.
You have a tiger mom that made you play an instrument or something?
No.
No?
I want to play the instrument, but I didn't have the opportunity.
No tiger mom, okay.
No.
Your self-esteem's a little better, but your musical talent is down. Okay. You look, if you already did something at a high level, that you developed a significant talent, it's easy to maintain that at 85, 90% of your peak. It's easy to maintain that 85, 90%, and then if you wanted to go back to it, it'd be no trouble. And then but you can go reallocate your energy and you can learn something else, and you can learn it quicker. So that is one thing is through your 20s, through your 30s, if you're motivated, through your 20s you're building those first core skill sets, and through your 30s and 40s for that matter, if you're motivated, you'll be able to learn the next thing quicker because you already learned how to learn. You already have the discipline component in place. You've already accepted what the learning process is, and you can look at the world more objectively as you develop a broader knowledge base and a deeper knowledge base and more talents, etc. You see the world a bit more objectively, and you find the synergies of, oh, I could learn this other thing even quicker, and I could learn this other difficult thing even quicker. So it's not that you can't do many, many things over the course of your lifetime, but a person who says he's going to change 5 things, 10 things, I think he's probably going to fail. I don't see people do that successfully. Like never. Not like once in a while. It's like never. I just don't see people do that successfully.
I was wondering if you say that focus on just 2 things at a time. Say you work 8 hours a day and you go to the gym and eat. That takes maybe 3 hours, and then you've got like a few hours still left before you go to bed. Then would you see it as stupid doing those other things as smaller side projects?
Start somewhere. Just start somewhere. Read a book, a couple pages a day if that's all you got time for.
Yeah.
If I get in the Uber, taxi, whatever, first thing I tell them to do is turn the music off. The first thing I say, please turn the music off. I have a very important email to take care of, and I'm taking care of my messages, texts and emails. I don't want to hear fucking noise and distraction. So and I'm traveling constantly. When I get on the airplane, if I'm not doing something with my laptop, then I'm listening to an audio book. Sometimes I'm doing both. So I'm listening to an audio, and I spend a lot of time flying. So that's a couple hundred hours per year easy of extra information in my head. That's it's like reading 20 books, like very easy. That's like reading an extra. It's more than that. I go through easy 2 books a month. So it's a couple dozen books, just on the airplane. Plus whatever I actually spend with a physical book in my hand at home or some other information. So a normal person probably reads 2 books a year. It's like a normal. That's not like a loser. That's like a 50th percentile normal person is consuming something like 2 or 3 books a year. And I'm getting through 24 books just passively like that, plus more. And just over time, it's just those little things where you're wasting 10 minutes here, or you could just be leisurely. You could watch the movie on the jet, or you could watch a documentary. You could watch the movie on the jet, or you could listen to a couple hours of a book that would help you be a more useful person. And I don't need. Just this substitution to leisure that people do very early in life. They want it, leisurely, everything leisure and easy. And in Western culture, and I think my country is the worst offender. The Americans, they've made it popular that like it's cool if you do nothing. If you just do nothing and magically had a good outcome, that's like the ideal. Like for a lot of young people in America, they're not even thinking that if I was hardworking and had a good outcome. Okay, but it would be really cool if I could just do nothing and have an outcome that I totally don't deserve. That would be like an ideal. And you just look at any social media nonsense and you'll see that theme very quickly, and it's really pathetic. And it doesn't happen. It's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale that allows you to believe that somehow you're special. You're a special unicorn, and there's some magical principles of the world. That apply to only you, and it's really a terrible delusion that people are suffering from. That I could get the outcome without earning it. Charlie Munger, I've said this many times. I've quoted Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's business partner. He's 95 right now. He's still alive, and amazingly sharp man for 95 years old. It's good if you're still breathing at 95, And for the way his brain works is really amazing and impressive. But Charlie says, the best way to get what you want in life is to deserve it. He said, how would the world be so insane to go around rewarding a bunch of undeserved people? And just accept that. Just pay the price and get what you want, man. Just pay the price and get what you want. That's the shortcut. Find the best coaches, find the best mentors, find people that can cut that learning curve. And I even take a bit of, I find it, the learning curve thing is a bit off. You know, when we say cut your learning curve, there's a presumption that you are going to figure it out by yourself. There's a presumption that you are going to be able to figure it out by yourself. You're not. So you're going to figure out, you know, I mean, it's just unnecessary. It's like, you know, if you wanted to be a physicist, it would be in your best interest to learn what other people with that aspiration, what have they done before you? You know, what did Newton think? What did Einstein think, et cetera, you know? In any area of subject matter expertise, if you wanted to be a prize fighter, it would be in your best interest to go look back at, you know, the history, the video archives of other people that were boxers or this or that, you know? That's what people do. Mayweather talks about this, and like, Mayweather's so dumb he can't even read. True. He can't read, but you know, he's humble enough to say that, you know, he's 50-0, not because he was the best offensive fighter, but he has a tremendous defense. And he learned a lot of that tremendous defense looking at the history of boxing, like looking at videos from, you know, old black and white videos from forever ago, and understanding like what's the shit that works or the shit that doesn't work through the evolution of his sport. You know, that's how you have a 50-0 record. It's not being, you know, he is terribly cocky, but it's, you know, that's not what helped. Well, probably did help him win, but you know, the defense, the education that he got himself about that, and his father was a great boxer himself. His father was a great boxer and was his manager and coach for many, many, many years. And you know, those things don't happen accidentally. It's, you know, you understand the history of the area that you're working in. He found subject matter experts, you know, his father and other trainers to work with. It's like, that's how you get shit done. The people that don't do that are going to fail. That's what it is. What else are you guys thinking about? What do you think about Chief?
First of all, thank you for coming here, like in Finland.
I love it here.
Listening your thing on YouTube, and I really appreciate you coming here. You know.
Thank you.
Because I know a lot of people come. For example, if I wouldn't be from Finland, I would have to go and take a plane to the States and blah blah blah. You know. And actually, it's like, wow, this guy honestly come here and you talk to us like this. And let's say like this. You hang out with, let's say, millionaires. You notice that everybody has some kind of same mindset. But is there somebody who came there, you're like, whoa, I never thought about it. He's really like outstanding. Something was special there. Like.
That's why I do these talks. I go all around the world. You're idealizing what a millionaire is. You know, anybody in this room who is pretty serious, and I know there's high taxes here, okay? So I know there's high taxes in Finland, and that is not your friend. But anybody here that was very serious to go find $1 million or €1 million, you could go do that. A man that has the discipline to do what you've done in the gym, if you just changed a few other habits financially, you could go find €1 million if you really cared. It'd be the same process you've already gone through. You make a few sacrifices in the short term, you change your schedule, you change your time, you focus your attention on a few different things, and you just do that consistently for a period of time. And you make yourself useful to others, and then you have €1 million. And if you had that, you'd want 2 million. And if you had that, you'd want 5 million. And that's, you know, but you already developed the habits. It's not so easier to get from, you know, 1 million to 2 million or 2 million to 5 million. The first million is hard. But then after you have a habit and a system and you do what you do. So, you know, this is not something, you know, over here or up there. Is, you know, if that's something you're serious about, you already have the right type of brain and the right type of, you know, discipline or self-respect to go do something like that. So don't think of it as like something, you know, I've done well financially, but I want a lot more, frankly. You don't need billions of dollars. If you had, you know, 10 million, 20 million, you do whatever you want. And it'd be, you know, easy to go find a, you know, it's not easy, but it'd be no more difficult and maybe less difficult than what you've done with your physique.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a habit. It's just understanding like what are some financial fundamentals. What could I learn that would help me be more valuable to others? How could I contribute more value to others? And how do I monetize that so that, you know, if I could help you make $1 million this year, you're very happy to give me 300,000.
Sure.
And would you like to do that only once? Could we do that a second time or a third time? You know, so you're just creating consumer surpluses. What could I do to help someone solve a painful problem that they'd be happy to compensate me for? And you're not even selling something then. I mean, everybody I went to school with, the graduate school, you know, they have these jobs that he's talking about that you get 300,000, 500,000. They all went and did that. If I wanted to go get a job like that, I'd be depressed and make less money than I'm already making doing nothing. But I mean, I'll just say what I said earlier, bro. Is like, you know, here, think about this. Think about what's possible in 10 years this way. It's like, when I was 18, a high school dropout, was in jail. My father had 15 years in prison. My uncle, 15 years in prison. My friends, what happened to them in the aftermath is my 6 close friends, 3 of them are dead. One of them 30 years prison. One of them life, real life. He will never come home. He's been locked up for 10 years. He will never come home. And the 6th one, he is crippled because he is stupid. He's drunk and high at work with heavy equipment like Caterpillar machinery, and he injured himself badly, and he'll be injured for life, you know? And those are the 6 people that I was spending time with. And if you said, 10 years later, because I was reading books, because I was going to university, because I was keeping away from those people and moving closer to better people, just a little bit every day. Just a little bit every day, and that's what it took for me to have from a very below average, not a good situation, from a very bad situation to make a rather good situation. That took me 10.5 years. And 5 years after that, I had a graduate degree. I multiplied the money several times, and you'll have setbacks, you'll have all sorts of problems, and you will fix them, and you'll feel very good about yourself because you're the type of guy that whatever happens, it's going to be good. You're going to make it work. You're going to fix something. There's going to be some problem, but you're going to fix it, And that's how it is. And, now let's talk about, how old are you right now?
31.
31. So you're telling me at 31, looking like you do and, looking confident and smart and all right? So you're telling me at 31 that you couldn't do better than I did at 18? At 31, from 18 till 29, I did quite well.
Yeah, I know.
You could do much better.
I'm very honest with myself. I know already. I've been listening to you, and I know there's some bullet points that I really need to develop better skills. I'm very honest with myself. I'm
Good.
not going there. Hey, I'm the fucking guy. I really take, and I always like constructive feedback, what to do, and and this and that. And
I put myself.
I don't have an ego problem.
Good. I put myself around smart people, or he and I are friends. As he's 10 years older than me, and I ask his advice about this or that or different business things. That he has several people working for him. He's paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to run his business interests. So he's doing quite well for himself. So I have many friends like that and he does too. We were just talking about it 2 hours ago. Is you join other entrepreneurial groups, you join other business groups, and you put yourself around other business leaders and people that are serious and motivated. And it'd be in your selfish best interest to be pretty open and honest with those people rather than trying to bullshit them, so they can tell you hey, have you ever thought about this? So they can help you with a blind spot. So they can help you fix some of the stupid shit that all of us are doing. And that's how you get better, is find smarter people to tell you, oh, this person knows more about that than I do. Let me ask their opinion. What else could I do? What else could I do? What else could I do? What am I missing? What is the blind spot that I'm missing? That's how you get better. And the more you could put your ego aside and say, let me just do what works. And get rid of these fantasies and fairy tales. Quit telling anybody a fairy tale. Quit telling ourselves a fairy tale, which all of us do, by the way. I'm not just saying that to you. Is that everybody is telling themselves some bullshit story. And the more if you could move further away from your bullshit story and just, more close to objective reality of what is the truth here? If I'm here and I want to be there, what's the next step? All right, let me do that right fucking now. And then what else? And then what else, And that's how anything gets done. That's how a skyscraper gets built. That's how you're strong and fit. How long have you been lifting weights serious?
13 years.
13 years. But how can I get muscles like you this week? Yeah.
Possible.
No, yeah. Is a joke. What are some other things that you're good at? What other talents or skills do you have?
Me?
Yes.
I'm a very good singer, and I'm a professional poker player.
Yeah.
for 9 years.
Nice.
Those two.
So if you weren't allowed to do, if you were not allowed to play poker for the next 6 months, but then you start playing again, would it take you 9 years to relearn your current skill set, or?
2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what same. And the music is that way too.
Pretty much.
Yeah. If you're not allowed to sing or not allowed to touch an instrument that you've been practicing for years, if you're not allowed to do that for 6 months, but then you get back to it, it would not take you years to, you would have that 90-something% of your skill set is just there. That's why I say it's easier than the gym. Because if you did not go to the gym for 6 months and then you went back, you would not be good, you know?
Yeah, it's like whatever you do is like a muscle. The more you use it, the bigger it gets.
Yeah. You're literally just, you think of your brain as a muscle. You're just rewiring a couple neural pathways to make your brain, if you changed a couple behaviors, if you changed a couple thoughts, you would change a couple behaviors. And if you change those couple behaviors, you would change your results. So it's just cutting through the shit, understand what are the couple key drivers that I need to be thinking differently about so I could behave differently in a way that's congruent to who I am inside. And then the outcomes happen. There's no magic to it. What else, guys? What up?
Actually, by the way, now you said you've been traveling a lot of places. What is the most like, if you could choose the first time, what was the most like exciting or really like you have got that in you, the first culture?
A culture to absorb that would be useful for life.
What would be your first, if you wouldn't like born in States and etc.
I don't know.
Or in States, it doesn't matter, but if that one, why? Like whatever.
People ask, what your favorite place or your favorite something, and it just hard. I love. There's a couple of restaurants that I really love here in Finland, and there's a couple of nightlife venues that I really love here in Finland, and then there's a few other nuances about the people that are really, really nice. So I really enjoy coming here a couple times a year. But I like London too, and I like New York, and I like Hong Kong, and I like Singapore, and I like Australia, and there's those few things everywhere, And my accent doesn't even fit in anywhere. The way I speak, it doesn't even fit in anywhere because I spent many years traveling. So then it doesn't fit anywhere now. So it's some vague U.S. accent that wherever I am in the U.S., they think I'm from a different part of the U.S. So it doesn't really fit anymore. So it's weird, But just in Europe, I've been something like 33 countries, no less than 33 countries, and there's a lot of nice places in Europe. There's places you wouldn't want to live, but you're so happy you went there one time, And it's little obscure things, Bratislava or Ljubljana or Estonia or something that you're happy you went there for a day, and it's part of your psyche, I don't want to live in those places, but very happy to be there. So places that I think would be more fun to live, I really like Manhattan a lot. If you look at my schedule, that'll tell you the truth of where do I like to go. Well, I spend a lot of time in Manhattan. I spend a lot of time in Las Vegas. I spend about 3 months per year in Europe. I like Europe quite a bit. Those are my real, I could go anywhere. I could put any damn thing that I want to on that schedule and people will come travel to see me. So I just pick the places that I like best, and then a couple of unique places that I haven't gone. I'll tend to pick one here and one there just because. But it's not where you're at entirely. It's who you are inside too. I feel very comfortable being anywhere because I don't, I have a home. I do have a place where there's furniture and it's comfortable, but I'm also traveling like 250 days per year. So wherever I go, it just feels like home. I feel very comfortable wherever I am. I think, what does every man want? I think all of us want more freedom and more independence. That's all money buys you. You want money so you could have the control of your time, You have more freedom to do more of the things that you would like to be doing and less of the shit that you don't feel like doing. And that's the number one thing money buys you is just your freedom. You can spend time with people that you want to, solves logistical problems, you can travel, you can go where you want and be with the people that you want and avoid the people that you'd like to, not be with. So, I very much get that. I had that calling very early in life. I was very dissatisfied with my childhood. And I just thought about that. I'd say I'm rather addicted to it. To the point, it's a weird thing to say about yourself, but to the point where certain people overcompensate for things, and I think that way about money. That I had, or this fear question that came up earlier, is I thought poverty was so shitty And it's American poverty. I had American poverty. So I've been to third world shitty countries, and I understand what that is. And so that's a different problem, okay? But I probably was at the 2 percentile of American wealth, and that really sucked, and it really bothered me. And there's a lot of problems about that I felt that strong calling of whatever it takes to go overcome those obstacles. I wanted to have that financial freedom, so I could spend my time around quality people. And when you get away from all those little, I don't want to be dramatic about it, but you'll understand what I'm saying. When you get away from those little traumas and office politics and the little things you have to bite your tongue and kind of eat shit instead of just saying what you want to say or being who you are, I feel like you die a little bit. Every day you show up at the office and you got to pretend to be somebody you're not and get along with people that you secretly dislike, and they secretly dislike you sometimes, and you're supposed to smile at each other, and that's the game, That's what they do in these contexts. And, I just feel like you die a little bit every day. When I talk to people about that, they universally agree, They're just like, yeah, it's just, it's not who you are. It's not who you are inside, And I think it's the most admirable thing a person could do is, go procure more freedom for themselves, more opportunity and higher quality opportunity. And, the only way to do that is, you have to make yourself valuable to others. You have to be able to solve problems for people. And that's what the study of management is, I have 2 management degrees. What does that mean? It's just, a manager is just somebody that gets paid to solve other people's problems, And, the bigger problems you can solve, the more painful the problem, or the bigger the problem, the more they can pay you. And there's no trickery, or you don't get to be a scoundrel. You don't get to lie or cheat. It's, you'll do so to your own detriment. I don't think about little short-term things like that. I always like to think, big picture, long-term, big picture, long-term. So on a philosophic level, change. Take inventory of the skills that you already have, the talents and skills that you already have, and how could you use those in a different context? If you learned nothing new, now go learn some new stuff too, okay? But if you learn nothing new with the skills and talents you have now, how would you be able to solve a different type of problem where they could pay you more, or somebody could pay you more for skills and talents you already have? And of course, go learn something new, and economics will help you with that a little bit. You don't have to do a deep dive. You don't have to fucking spend years in business school to have a very good understanding of, if you took a couple finance classes, if you took a couple accounting classes, managerial accounting, financial accounting, microeconomics, macroeconomics, statistics, so you could understand, probabilities and the probabilities of an outcome, or variance and volatility in models and shit. And some of these things you already know, no doubt. Okay. But you just have you took about eight classes that you're probably already a mathy, nerdy type of guy. I am, and you have that vibe about you too. You're probably already thinking in terms of mathy, nerdy type stuff with a computer background. Well, it wouldn't be hard for you to understand fucking accounting. It wouldn't be hard for you to understand what is a balance sheet. How does the income comes in? Here's the income statement, statement of cash flows, balance sheet, statement of owner's equity. These would not be difficult things for someone with a computer background. They would understand this very quickly. It's not a difficult thing. But it just gives you those few extra tools in your head for 8 or so university courses. It would give you more confidence, and it would open up your mind of well, I already have a skill set in this area, but this gives me a toolbox, if you will, to help me monetize skills that I already have. Gives me a different way of thinking, how does money work in a business, which most people just simply don't know. All right? And then, what are the opportunities that perhaps I haven't been thinking of? Now, a shortcut to that, I'm doing a talk in New York, October 31st till November 3rd. So 4 days in Manhattan. And it could be specifically about, marketing, sales, and negotiation. I'm not going to talk about everything else. We're talking about marketing, sales, and negotiation. And I'm going to have Brandon Carter promised me that he'll come. I have several other social media people so they're going to teach you about social media stuff online. People that have 1 million or a few million followers. Connor Murphy will probably come. It's another friend, I don't want to say his name until I get a commitment from him. But so I'm going to bring social media people there to tell oh, how do you build that online following? How do you now think about this? Why are these people even friends with me? I have fucking 11,000. I have 10,900 YouTube subscribers. So why are people with 4 million YouTube subscribers hanging out with me? It's because it's not because I can tell them how to monetize that. I can help them make a filthy amount of money with the asset that they already have that they don't know how to get the money out of it. They got a very valuable asset and they don't know how to get the fucking money out of it. That's why they even talk to me. And we're friends beyond that, but I would say that's a primary financial driver. So yeah, they're not worried about getting a collaboration to get a couple of my YouTube followers on their channel. Some of them get that many in a day. But that'd be something very useful. If you want to think about how to frame things or how to again, marketing, sales, or negotiation, that'd be very useful to you if you're interested in coming talk to the boys. They're not even a website. We'll probably build a website next month, but it's going to be October 31st till 3rd of November, so 4 days in New York. What were your thoughts? I'll put you on the spot. What were your thoughts of the last business conference that you came to with me?
Yeah, so I came in, I got a corporate job. One of the main takeaways I got was in terms of how to approach your management to start taking over their position and kind of working your way up if you want to go that way. What I realized kind of going through the conference was that's not going to happen. My management structure the way it is, it's a dead end. So with the second day, it was all entrepreneurship. And from there, actually buying my first business, closing and starting it on July 1st, and kind of all the stuff that was in the conference, that's kind of set the groundwork. And then the second one, really excited about that because it's a lot of social media marketing base. It's a fitness studio, so all that to kind of start getting more leads, more people coming in the door. So I'm really excited about going. I signed up the day it was announced.
Yeah, so we already have 45, 50 people have signed up, and just people that came to the previous conference. That many of them signed up to come to the next one. But you'll see it advertised in July, and if you're serious about it, just talk to one of the boys, and they'll get you enrolled in it. But I could help you with that quite a bit, and it's just the reason it's 4 days, and I can't say it now, is they're just a vast. I spent 9 years in university studying business. I spent 21 years, working on I quit my job 21 years ago. I spent 25 years, working on business. You could even say more. When I was a child, I was, had 4 paper routes and so on and so on, So I've just been thinking about this my whole lifetime. And, there's just nothing better you could do.